McLaren's decision on Sunday sparked a debate that hasn't cooled down. Oscar Piastri kept his composure on the radio and in Parc Fermé, but his tone ever since has carried a clear message. He believes he did nothing wrong and feels frustrated at paying the price for circumstances outside his control. He's not alone in that view. Mark Webber has openly pointed to what he considers growing favoritism, and with his experience in the sport, his instincts on such matters are sharp. Damon Hill also weighed in, and the fan response he drew showed this is about more than just one slow-wheel nut. On paper, the sequence looked straightforward, but in reality, it was loaded with tension. Lando Norris was running second behind Max Verstappen, and McLaren's plan was to pit both cars late, with Piastri coming in first to cover Charles Leclerc. Over the radio, Will Joseph reassured Norris there would be no undercut. Norris double-checked. Joseph confirmed, and the plan was locked in. Piastri pitted and delivered a flawless 1.9-second stop. Norris followed, only to lose 4 seconds to a stuck front left. He came out behind his teammate. By sporting logic, that's racing. By contractual logic, McLaren had already guaranteed the positions would remain unchanged. Then came the turning point. Tom Stallard instructed Piastri to give the place back. Piastri's answer cut to the core. Slow pit stops had always been considered part of racing. So why was this different? Still, he obeyed, and that in itself says a lot. A young driver fighting for a championship will take the hit for the bigger picture, but resentment lingers. Andrea Stella later explained that the choice was about principles. The pit sequence had been arranged for the team's overall benefit, not to alter track position. Since the botched stop had shuffled the order, restoring it was, as Stella put it, the fair thing to do, then let them race. Framed McLaren's way, the issue is about trust. Norris was assured there would be no undercut, and the team felt bound to honour that even when chance interfered. From a racer's perspective, though, it's about risk and reward. Piastri's crew executed perfectly, and the stopwatch reflected that. Losing 4 seconds in the pits is part of the sport's randomness, no different from a gust of wind or an ill-timed virtual safety car. The clash between those two perspectives will shape how this episode is remembered weeks from now. Fans, however, did not split evenly. Hill poked fun at the policy with a tongue-in-cheek story from 1993 and then ran a poll. A clear majority opposed the order. Humour aside, that result matches the gut instinct of many supporters. Team instructions are accepted when one driver is the clear title favourite. They're tolerated when the strategic picture is obvious, but they're disliked when they override an outcome that unfolded naturally on track. Stella's reasoning, at least, has been consistent. He emphasised that pitting Piastri first was about managing risk from race control and covering Ferrari. And both drivers were explicitly told that the sequence would not alter track position. In that sense, restoring Norris to second was not a handout. It was simply returning to the pre-agreed baseline between pit wall and drivers. Stella also noted the team will review the guidelines both for slow stop scenarios and pit sequencing and then align with the drivers. In other words, the rulebook is still being written. The standings added extra tension. Piastri left Monza with his cushion trimmed to 31 points and 8 races still to run. It's still a strong lead, but the tone has shifted. Dropping 3 points on a day where he drove flawlessly tightens the psychological margins. That's where Mark Webber's perspective carries weight. He's lived through the darker side of these dynamics. He still remembers keying the radio with "not bad" for a number 2. He knows how tiny incidents can snowball into perceptions of favoritism. Sometimes justified, sometimes not. When he says the gap on paper undersells Piastri's true control of the title race, it's not a patriotic defense. It's a technical argument for respect. Norris, meanwhile, tried to puncture the tension before it built. He pushed back at the notion that he's mentally soft, admitted he admires the sharp edge of drivers like Verstappen, and made clear he wants to win his own way. That candor is part of why things haven't boiled over inside McLaren. Piastri is cool-headed. Norris wears more on the surface. Both are quick enough to beat the other any given weekend. With such evenly matched talents, the team's survival hinges on setting boundaries in unmistakable terms long before the lights go out. Fan debates often become complicated. Supporters create strong narratives, one driver seen as favoured, another as overlooked, and the team painted as either fair or unfair. In reality, the situation is more subtle. A team competing for championships needs rules that both drivers accept as balanced. The moment one side feels the scales are tipping, confidence begins to erode even if the data says otherwise. This is why Jacques Villeneuve's opinion is relevant. He explained that Mark Webber is a good mentor for Oscar Piastri,